Hello everyone and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this our February 19th, 2024 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including stuff that we missed last week because we had our special guest, Mike Carlin. Having a mental blank there. Mike Carlin was our special guest last week, so we didn't get to talk about any of the news that happened in the week of Superman. And so with a 2-week period to cover, we've got lots to cover, including, as I said, stuff around Superman Legacy with a table reading taking place. We've got news on Superman and Lois, a bit of controversy that's been sparking some conversation across the internet. We have stuff going on in the comic book, solicitations for May. We have got omnibuses for DC versus Marvel. So much to get through in tonight's show. And to help me cover all that news and discuss everything that's going on, let me introduce my co-host back again this week, Mark Lax. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
Not too bad.
What did you make of the Mike Carlin interview last week?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
It was awesome.
And you can tell he's just loves what he does, and just talking about it and really enjoys it, and you get that, you can feel that joy coming through.
Yeah, exactly. So he was a great guest last week. So if you missed that show, it is the previous one to this week. Make sure you check it out. Some interesting revelations in there from Mike Carlin, who was the editor of the comic books back in the mid to late 90s when all the stuff was happening around about the death of Superman and all those kinds of major news stories in the comic books. Great time to be a Superman reader back then, and is still now today. So we're going to get through all the topics that we're going to discuss, but we want to get you involved in the show tonight. So if you're a fan of Superman and you want to chat with us tonight, then feel free to either post comments in the comments section there on both YouTube and Facebook. Mark and I can keep an eye on everything that you have to say to be able to react to your comments or question, or you can scan the QR code that is on your screen right now. That will allow you to talk to us tonight on your phone, through your computer. If you've got a smartphone, scan that QR code, but make sure you do put in headsets if you do get on to talk to us tonight, or make sure you mute the screen that you're listening on because there is a delay and that can cause a little bit of problem. Or you can go to supermanhomepage.com/live and press the call now button to be part of the show. If you don't want to use your phone, want to use your computer instead, you can do that. You'll be put in the green room where you'll be able to hear and listen to the show as we go on tonight. So you won't miss a thing. If you do want to talk to us, we might take calls in the second half hour of tonight's program. So that's a good way to get involved. And as I said in the comments as well, if you're on YouTube, feel free to post a super chat. All you have to do is click the dollar symbol there on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we will feature your comment or question live on the screen as we go along tonight. And there are also super stickers and super thanks. And speaking of thanks, thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, Tina Murray, and C. Ralph Adler. We appreciate your support. And if you want to join those fine folks and be a supporter of our show, then simply click the join button on YouTube. There are different levels of membership with different levels of perks. Or you can go to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Another way you can support the show is to simply click on the like button right now. Share this video with your family and friends. Let everyone know. Comment right now. Give us a thumbs up, as I said. It helps the algorithm let us know. And if you're enjoying the show and you want to make sure you keep up with exactly everything that's happening with the Superman homepage YouTube channel, then make sure you click the subscribe button and then click the little bell next to it to make sure you get notified each time we post a new video. And as I said, we've got a YouTube membership program and Patreon if you want to support the show. You can do it for as little as $1 a day. It's not $1 a day, $1 a month if you want to be able to help us out. A great way to just kind of put a tip in the jar, as it were. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into tonight's topics and discuss all the stuff going on in the world of Superman. And we start off by reminding everyone that I am going away for the next 2 weeks. So before you worry about where next week's show is, we won't be having a show for the next 2 weeks. So I'll be away until we'll do our next show on Monday, March 11. So don't be scared. We haven't disappeared. We're not stopping the show, but taking a break, and we'll be back for our next show on Monday, March 11th. So make sure you take note of that and be aware that we won't be doing the show for the next 2 weeks, but we'll be back on March 11th. Also, another kind of just bit of housekeeping. From now on, if you're subscribed via the podcast, whether that be on Spotify, on Apple Music, or any of the other podcasting networks or platforms, we'll only be doing an audio version for people subscribing to a podcast that way. The video version will always be available through our YouTube channel. So just be aware that if you are subscribed as a podcast person, you will be getting it as an audio only, but the video version will always be available on our YouTube channel. All right, well, let's get into all the topics for this week. And yeah, sorry, my flack, I'm not sure what that symbol is. Looks like an @ symbol in his comments. 2 weeks. So yes, I know you'll miss us. I'm sure we'll miss you as well. But we'll be back on March 11th. But getting into the Superman Legacy movie news, the first thing that was last week's news, but nevertheless still important to kind of talk about it here this week, that Rachel Brosnahan, who will be playing Lois Lane in Superman Legacy, revealed that there is a table reading taking place with filming starting in March. I believe probably this week, that everyone involved in the production comes together to do a first-time read-through of the script, familiarize themselves with their lines, with their fellow actors. So it's interesting times. Here is what she had to say. Thanks to the TikTok channel. Let me just get it right. I want to give them proper props. I think it was... I'll get it right after I play the video. Anyway, let's play the video first and then see how we go. Here's Rachel Brosnahan.
Lois Lane, next for you. Tell me about that.
I guess the cat's out of the bag. We're doing our first table read next week in Atlanta.
Are you excited about that? That's iconic.
I'm very excited. Big shoes to fill, but I'm excited by the challenge. Yeah.
The marvelous Mrs. Lane.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a crossover. Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
That was thanks to DC Film News. That one was on Threads. So yeah, I don't know where they caught her. It looked like either at an airport or something like that, where she's coming through and a table read, which is very exciting because it means that they're getting closer. Production starts next month.
Yeah, it's getting exciting. It really is, and we never really thought we would get to this to this point.
So,
it's close.
Exciting news, and as Nostalgic Pod Blast in the comments says, it's happening in Atlanta, where he is located. So,
okay.
Very, very happy for you. Maybe you'll see some stuff happening in and around the streets of Atlanta. I know they'll be filming in various locations, probably around the world, but I'm sure Chance will let us know if anything does happen of great value or interest to Superman fans in Atlanta. Obviously, that's where their production offices will be housed, so waiting to hear all the different details from Superman Legacy as we get closer to hearing more and more. But yeah, exciting news. Superman Legacy starting production, filming next month in March. That's all we have really in the news for Superman Legacy, but still in the other Superman news area, some really interesting props going on sale, on auction at Heritage Auctions from Superman the movie. I don't know if you or I will have the money to be able to bid on these, but we have a miniature flying Superman special effects miniature with a starting bid of $5,000 US. It's an original special effects miniature from Superman the movie. Measures 62 inches by 15 inches by 9 inches, and is obviously made of fiberglass with movable limbs and head attached through sockets. This was obviously for flying of shots that didn't require a close-up of Christopher Reeve himself. It might just be a distant shot of the character flying through the sky on wires or gimbals or whatever it might be. So yeah, a little bit scary, as Nostalgic Podcast says in the comments. but nevertheless a true collector's item.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who wouldn't want that. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that is an interesting piece.
That's
The other one was this one, and that is a miniature of the crystalline Kryptonian starship used during the Krypton sequence, the escape from Krypton. This one is expected to sell for over $20,000 US, and yeah, it's pretty amazing detail to that, but again, a real collector's item.
Yeah, that's the one I want. That's the one I'm gonna, dip into the vault and bid on that for over $20,000. I wish I could. That would be
tell me about it. Yeah, imagine having that on the shelf and display somewhere. So that's the starship that Baby Kal-El came to Earth in, obviously a miniature, as they shoot the different versions as it crashed through the ceiling and all those kinds of things and flew through space. So yeah, I'm sure Jim Bowers at capedwonder.com will be watching that auction very closely.
Oh yes.
Very good. So yep, there are a couple of items. There are other items in this particular Planet Hollywood signature auction, which will take place across March 20th to March 24th. So you've got about a month to save those pennies.
Yeah. A lot of pennies.
A lot of pennies.
Yes.
Still on the Superman the movie front, if you're in Perth here in Australia, on the other side of the country from me, in March, the Variety the movie will be screening to support Variety, the children's charity. The screening of the film will take place at the Backlot, Perth, one of the cinemas over in Perth, on Saturday, March 2nd at 1 p.m. As I said, the proceeds from tickets sold for this screening will go to support Variety, the children's charity, making a positive impact in the lives of children in need. So make sure you, if you're going to attend, buy your tickets through their website, eventbrite.com, and you might be lucky enough to win one of a couple of lucky door prizes that will be handed out on the afternoon as well. So that is in Perth here in Australia. Make sure you get along to that. I think that would be awesome.
There hasn't been any screening near me at all. I mean, there have been in New York, which is, an hour or so from here, but nothing in this vicinity. So,
which is a shame. You think, last year being the 45th anniversary of the film, that there would be quite a few, and there were quite a few screenings happening around different locations across the world, mostly in America. But that's sad for you, Mark. Maybe you just have to watch it on the screen at home.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, throughout at least the country or whatever, at least one screen in each state or something would have, would have a screening. We have some nice theaters around here, but no dice.
Not to be. Oh well. So yeah, if you're in Perth, make sure you get along to that screening of Superman the movie. Well, that's all we have on the movie side of things in the world of Superman. So let's move on to the television side of things. And again, from last week, just to touch on that before we move on to stuff that happened this week, Bitsy Tulloch, who plays Lois Lane on Superman and Lois, told Mama's Geeky on TikTok that we can expect some deaths in the upcoming 4th and final season of the show.
Anything at all you can tease about this upcoming final season?
There are deaths involved.
Multiple?
Yes, it's very epic. We're going out with a bang, they're actually very, very high stakes.
Okay, what was it like when you got those scripts and you read through them? What was your reaction?
I was crying. Yeah.
So there you have it. Tears for Bitsy as she read through the scripts for the 4th and final season of Superman and Lois. We're running a poll on our website as to who fans think might be kicking the bucket in the upcoming season of the show, and Sam Lane topped the poll.
I figured, it would. Who knows who else? I hope it's none of our main characters, of course. Or Superman and Lois and the boys. But Sam seems to be the one that I think, especially if she said she was crying in tear. You would just figure, he's going to be in maybe one, maybe two episodes at best. So seeing him kind of go out with a bang or something, I could understand that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Justin Suarez in the comments puts his vote in for Henry Irons. John Henry Irons might, he's from a different Earth, so, he might not be sticking around. I saw some people saying, well, Superman, because he's fighting Doomsday, but he'll be resurrected. I don't think in 10 episodes they could. I mean, they could. I don't know if that's where they're going with the Doomsday fight, but deaths. So
I don't think so.
Multiple.
Yeah, multiple deaths.
So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, who knows? Multiple deaths, yeah.
Wait and see what happens. We do not yet have a release date for Season 4 of Superman and Lois, other than we can tell you that it won't premiere until the fall of 2024, which, by my calculations, is September, October.
Right. Yeah, I understand why they wouldn't do the summer, because summer is almost like they're just kind of throwing it in there just to get it done, I mean nowadays I know things are a little different, especially with streaming. We have things coming out all the time. But this is still basically a network, it is a network, and network shows, when they do things like that, they usually just throw it in there to hide it. So I know, they I'm sure they want to go out with as much big a bang as they could, and doing it in the summer just, wouldn't do it justice. And I think certainly now that it's the end of February and they haven't really done too much filming or whatever, I certainly don't think it's going to be out by the end of April. So yeah, the fall would be, September, October. That would be the perfect time.
Yeah. So I know it's a little bit longer that we have to wait, but we do know it's the fourth and final season of the show, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and we know it's only going to be 10 episodes. So I'm happy for us to wait a little bit longer. Want to see them get everything right, do everything they need to do, and September will come around before we know it, and wait and see where they go with these final 10 episodes. But it should be interesting to see which direction the final 10 episodes take us for Superman and Lois. And we do know that this is the end of the show, but there's been a lot of conjecture this week about why. And it's really old news, but the internet has a very short memory. So we always knew. I mean, James Gunn and the Warner Brothers Discovery have been blamed this week by the CW's president of entertainment, Brad Schwartz, who told The Wrap in an interview that ultimately the decision to end the show was made by Warner Brothers, saying they don't want a competing Superman product in the marketplace, which is obviously referencing James Gunn's upcoming Superman Legacy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of months ago, James Gunn was asked about Superman and Lois, and he said that he was a fan of the show. The show's been doing great, and so it would get a fourth season, because everyone was not sure exactly what was happening midway through season 3. Would it be the end of it, when Superman Legacy was announced? But James Gunn said, no, it's sticking around. It's going to have a fourth season kind of thing. He never promised that there'll be a fifth season, but is this Brad Schwartz pushing or repositioning the blame elsewhere? Didn't the CW already kind of put the writing on the wall when they said that they were going in a completely different direction once Nexstar bought them out, and that they were focusing on a different demographic, and that's why a lot of these shows were being concluded?
That's what they That's what they kind of made us think that was the main reason. I'm not saying that he's throwing James Gunn under the bus or anything like that, but I don't. You know what? I don't really think they can definitely have competing. They're going to have a different Batman, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going to have the Robert Pattinson one, and they're going to be doing their new projects with Batman. So why couldn't there be more than one Superman? That does not make any sense to me. Maybe people are going after the CW and Nexstar about it, and he just he doesn't want to take all the blame. I mean, who knows? That just doesn't make sense to me. That they can't have two competing. Of course they can. And they have.
And that's the whole idea of this new DC films, is that they're going to have Elseworlds. James Gunn has come out and said that there will be alternate versions and that they're going with Elseworlds. I mean, he's already said that the J.J. Abrams-led Superman movie that's supposed to be about a black Superman is still going ahead. That was only a couple of weeks ago. So that kind of flies in the face of this whole idea about not wanting competing Superman product in the marketplace, because he's saying that they're going to be multiple versions already.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. Are they just trying to totally take the blame away from themselves? That that it was their decision. We're going to end this show. We don't want to do it anymore. Let's blame James Gunn. And I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. And it doesn't make any sense, because they could have competing.
Yeah,
they have had competing.
In the comments, Diner Guy says it's weird that James Gunn even said that the show would only go for another season or two. Why not just leave it up to the CW? Well, because the reason that they're not just leaving up to the CW is because the CW are partners with Warner Brothers on any of the DC characters. Warner Brothers owns those characters, so they have a say in whether or not these things go ahead or not, and which network they go to, whether it's released to, like with the upcoming Superman, the Christopher Reeve story documentary, which Warner Brothers has purchased the rights to. They will decide whether it goes on CNN, whether it goes straight on Max, whether it gets cinematic release. So Warner Brothers, as the owner or distributor of these characters and these properties, decides whether or not they continue. They're obviously helping funding them. It goes without saying that James Gunn, as co-CEO of Warner Brothers, of DC Studios, would have a say on whether or not these shows continue, because he is mapping out the direction that this new DC universe will go in. And the CW's already stated that they had to cut the budget for Superman and Lois, and that's why it's only going to 10 seasons. That's why most of the cast is only coming back as cameo appearances or appearing in a couple of episodes. That's why the Smallville set has been demolished, and they're not using that anymore. So I think it's a bit rich for this kind of quote to just come out this week. It caused some great hits for our website and any website reporting on it, but it was really non-news because we'd already known that James Gunn had said, it's still going to go for another season or two before season 4 had been announced. So another season is season 4, and okay, we already knew that it wasn't happening for a season 5. It's not like they cancelled it and they don't get to wrap it up on their own terms. So I'm a little bit perplexed by this one.
Yeah, I don't know what was going through Schwartz's head at the time. It does not make sense at all. I mean, I know when James Gunn came on and said, "Oh, we still love Superman and Lois, and it's going to continue. We're going to have another 4th season," or whatever it was that he said. Made me feel good, And I can't see where he would. Not that he couldn't make that decision to say, "Oh no, we're not having competing," but that's not what happened.
It flies in the face of other things that have been said.
Right. I mean, Nexstar came out and they're the ones that said we're going in another direction.
Yep.
We're only going to have 10 episodes. We're only going to have, they're the ones saying all of this when James Gunn was like seemed so gung ho, and of course he's mentioned since then, the J.J. Abrams, and of course, some other things that have been mentioned. So, and as there's no reason why that can't happen. They can't have the TV series and the movie. I mean, we've had that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, as I said, perplexed by this one. Some comments in the chat as we've been discussing. John Patrick Van Pelt asking if Grant Gustin's going to be making a cameo appearance in the final season of Superman and Lois. There's no indication. With only 10 episodes, I don't think that will happen. We already know that Superman is the only hero on this earth. Not to say that the Flash can't cross multiverse, boundaries, but there's no reason that I can see that Grant Gustin's Flash would make an appearance in the final season of Superman and Lois. I think they've got too much to focus on in that 10 episodes without trying to bring cameos in. He asked another question, which we'll get to in a second because it's on our list of things that we want to discuss, which we might as well discuss now because it kind of flies in the face of what we've just been discussing as well, is this rumor that Brandon Routh could return as Superman in his own TV series, which, if there's not supposed to be competing Superman in the marketplace, then this rumor would fall flat on its face. And to answer John's question in the comments, why cancel Superman and Lois if Brandon Routh is getting his own Superman show? We don't know. It's not been confirmed. It's just a rumor and speculation that came about because this past week, Arrowverse executive producer Mark Guggenheim teased a potential Superman Returns sequel on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, saying, Brandon and I have talked about a sequel series. We have some really exciting ideas. They're ideas. He's just discussing it with him and Brandon about this prospect of what if. But that doesn't mean that they've actually even approached Warner Brothers about it, that there's even been a pitch at all to Warner Brothers about it. It's just speculation, an idea, and he's kind of just mentioned it on Twitter. It doesn't mean that it's happening. Fans probably would love for it to happen. I would be all in. Brandon Routh is someone that I have a lot of respect for and would love to see him return to the role. He was obviously in Superman Returns, was obviously a Kingdom Come style Superman in the Arrowverse Crisis crossover. So it's a pipe dream, but it's an interesting one, but there's nothing to say that it's actually happening or that Warner Brothers are even aware of it or have been approached about the idea. It's just something that Mark Guggenheim teased on Twitter.
Which is weird because I can see that this could happen. This could be something that would definitely, again with James Gunn, saying how he, there's a multiverse and all of that. I could see this possibly happening, but then, again, it goes back into what they just said. They don't want competing. So it's just very confusing. And this is just a rumor. A rumor. Like I said, it could be something that could happen. But it is just a rumor, and you can't really read anything into it.
Exactly. Chance in the Nostalgic Pod Blast in the comments asks, how old is Brandon Routh? He's 44. So, it's of an age where he could play an older Superman, like in the Kingdom Come style, which I think that Kingdom Come Superman was even older than, he's probably in his 60s with the graying hair on the side and all that kind of stuff. But at 44, Brandon still looks good, still looks fit, and could play an older Superman in whatever they're looking to do. Whatever the idea is that he's got, that Mark Guggenheim and Brandon have discussed about a sequel series. So we don't know if it would be an ongoing series, a limited series, whatever their idea is. It's just an idea at this point in time, but it did get tongues wagging and fans excited about the prospect. But as I was just saying, with the CW's comments, Mark Schwartz's comments about they're not wanting competing Supermen in the marketplace, kind of it leaves you a little bit perplexed about, well, okay, if that's the case, then there's no chance of this happening.
Right. So even we could sit here and this could be a basic thing where we just came out and we could say, yeah, it's a rumor, who knows, it'd be nice, which is what we're saying. But because of what he said, it just I don't know.
He could. It's could be just simply one of those things where they throw something at the wall and see what kind of reaction it gets, and then if it's all positive fan stuff, and then WB looks at it and goes, you know what, there's something here. Let's have a chat. But if it was all negative and everyone's saying, nah, that's ridiculous, what a stupid idea, then you'd go, okay, well, let's leave that one where it is and not touch it. But it's just good. Like I said, it's the internet. Fans see a comment and they run with it.
It's number one, it's rumor. Number two, we're still confused over what Schwartz has said and why he said it. And so there's right now. I mean, there's I wouldn't think much about it until we actually hear if anything was to happen. So
watch this space, but don't hold your breath.
Right.
All right. Well, we're at the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break, and being that this is the last show for the month, because we're not doing one next week or for the week after that, we are going to do our monthly segments, the super secret soundbite this week. We've also got This Week in History and fan favourite segments to get through. So stick around, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Hi, Stephen. This is Lois Lane from the Daily Planet.
Do you want to start a video podcast but don't know where to start? Or maybe you've been podcasting for a while but you're bored with the traditional audio-only format. Either way, I've got just the thing. Ecamm Live is the #1 choice for busy podcasters who want to easily create professional-looking video podcasts. But why? They're more engaging for your audience, and video keeps their attention, so they're more likely to stick around and become part of your community. Let me show you just how easy it is with Ecamm Live. You can drag and drop graphics right onto your show to make it more professional. And if you have a co-host or guests, bringing them onto your show is a breeze. You can even tweak the look of your guest video no matter where they are. And you can set up your scenes in advance, so when your show starts, you can play your intro and easily switch between your scenes during the show. So it really simplifies your workflow and eliminates the need for a bunch of editing. Plus, your isolated audio tracks are saved right onto your computer along with your high-quality video files. So there's no more waiting for a link to download your files. They're right there. And once you're done, you can upload it to your syndication platform. It's time to give your audience what they really want. So if you're ready to become a visual authority and take your podcast to the next level with video, join the Ecamm fam. Thousands of podcasters have already made the switch. We're just waiting on you.
Go to supermanhomepage.com/Ecamm.
When Lex Luthor unleashes his plan to destroy the world, you can be just like Superman. With a Superman Returns in Play-Doh suit, you can pretend to have all the muscles of a Man of Steel. Then, strap on the punch and crush gloves to hear the sound of every punch you throw and everything you crush. In Play-Doh suit accessory, you put it together, batteries not included, punch and crush gloves sold separately. And when trouble hits the skies, you'll be ready with a Fight and Fly FX cape with real flying sounds. This cape responds to every move you make, whether you turn left or right to save the day.
And we're back on Superman Homepage Live with a real Brandon Routh flavour to this discussion at the moment. We've just had Brandon Routh there at the end of our promo, and then we've just had the Superman Returns promo for those toys. So real, who knows, it could be an omen. But nevertheless, we move on and let's go with the big question. Sorry, the super secret soundbite. We don't do the big question anymore. Super secret soundbite part of our show.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
Alright, so here was the super secret soundbite from last month. Have a listen.
Oh, we're no strangers to aliens in this house. You just make yourself at home.
So there you have it. It was from the Justice League animated series episode Comfort and Joy. We had a couple of people guess it right. Who were they? Mark, who guessed where this sound came from?
They were Jeremy Crawford, Lorenzo Valdez, Casey Jones, and Ryan Ignatius Pratt.
Congratulations to those 4 people for guessing where in the world of Superman that sound came from. Here is the new super secret soundbite. See if you can guess where in the world of Superman this new sound comes from.
We both moved to Metropolis at the same time.
On the same block.
And for 3 years, we both worked on the 16th floor.
17th floor.
At the Daily Planet, where...
I was a beat reporter covering City Hall.
Yes, you were.
Do you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from? If you do, head to supermanhomepage.com. Under the contact menu, you will find the super secret soundbite entry form. Is it under the contact menu? Yes, it is. And send in your entry. Each person who guesses it right will have their name read out when we return to do this segment at the end of March. So get involved in the super secret soundbite segment of our show. Before we jump into the fan favourite segment, John Patrick Van Pelt asks, is Superman Homepage Live and the Speeding Bulletin audio only? Are they also going to be available on Amazon Music moving forward? As I said at the beginning of the show, both will remain as videos on YouTube. You'll always be able to see them as videos on YouTube. But anywhere else that you subscribe as a podcast, the Superman Homepage Live only will be an audio only available file. Speeding Bulletin will continue, obviously, because it's a visual thing that I'm showing things that have happened during the week. Where this show, you can, in many respects, still listen and be able to understand what's going on, like with the super secret soundbite. All you have to do is hear it. But if you do want to see the visuals, then you can still see them on YouTube. All right, let's jump into the fan favorite segment of our show. All right, so what was our question from last week, Mark, for the fan favorites segment?
Who is your favorite police officer in any Superman medium?
All right, so who did we have up first?
J.P. Rocha wrote, my favorite police officer from the Superman show has to be Inspector Henderson from Adventures of Superman. You really get the feeling that Henderson and Clark have a strong relationship and respect for each other.
Yeah, very good. Excellent suggestion there, Inspector Henderson. Next up, we had Kenny. Kenny sent in a couple of photos with his. Kenny said, Kenny Crowley Jr., my favorite Superman police in the Superman comics and in the different live-action Superman and Super Family shows are Inspector Bill Henderson and Maggie Sawyer. He says, 2 tough cops and will always work well with Superman Clark Kent to bring the bad guys down. My favorite comic book version of them is during the Triangle era, and my favorite live action takes of them is in the 50s Adventures of Superman TV series and in Supergirl season 2 and 3 when Maggie was brought on the show. Thanks, Steve, and everyone at the Superman homepage, and keep up the super amazing work. Thank you very much, Kenny, and thank you for sending in those images with your answer.
And then we have Lorenzo Valdez, who wrote, my favorite Superman police officer character is Sheriff Nancy Adams, played by Camille Mitchell on Smallville. It was consistently so amusing to see her reaction to the suspicious happenings she was faced with being sheriff in the meteor capital of the world.
Well, that's an obscure one. I haven't even thought of Sheriff
Yeah.
Nancy Adams from Smallville for this answer, but thank you, Lorenzo, for reminding us about that character. That's an awesome response. Thank you very much. Very cool. Next up, Ryan Ignatius Pratt said, my favourite police officer from a Superman project would be that of Superman the movie's Officer Mooney, played by George Harris II. I love his exchange with Rex Everhart's desk sergeant. His description of Superman's big red cape and bright red boots flying away like a big blue bird is absolutely hilarious and simultaneously classic. Yeah, you can't go past Officer Mooney. Very cool.
No,
Thanks,
you
Ryan.
cannot. And we have Kirby Lindell, who wrote, my favorite law enforcement character is Inspector Henderson Robert Shane. He was an excellent actor and perfect for a law enforcement role. He's also very good friends with the staff of the Daily Planet and loyal to them. I really believed he was actually their friend and a policeman. A close second would be Maggie Sawyer.
Thank you, Kirby. Great answer there. And lastly, we have Alexandra, who wrote, this is where my knowledge of Superman comes short. Except for Maggie Sawyer and Dan Turpin, I'm not familiar enough to like any policeman in the world of Superman, but I'll at least say that I appreciate Maggie Sawyer. I'll be sure to watch your show to know more. Well, hopefully you've got some insights into some of the other police officers in the world of Superman, Alexandra. So thank you very much for sending in your response. And thank you to everyone who participated in the fan favourite segment of our show. I love to see some of those responses, some surprising ones there. So thank you very much. Mind the Gap saying Dan Turpin in Superman the Animated Series was his favourite. He had to have guts to confront Darkseid. Yeah, that was a very compelling double episode, that one with the death of Dan Turpin in Superman the Animated Series. So great choice. Thank you, Mind the Gap. All right, so Mark, what is our new fan favourite question for this show, which we will be reading out when we return in 2 weeks?
It is, other than Lois Lane, who is your favorite love interest for Superman?
Yeah, Superman has had many love interests over 85 years, many of them with LL initials. So feel free to participate in the fan favourite segment of our show. Simply email us with your answer to the email address along the bottom of your screen right now. It is info@supermanhomepage.com. info@supermanhomepage.com is an email address to send your answers to, and we will read those out when we return to this segment in our next show. So get involved in the fan favourite segment, letting us know who your favourite love interest is for Superman other than Lois Lane. So get involved. All right, well, here I go once again to do This Week in History. Bear with me as I grab some of the information as we move along. Here is our intro.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right, so we jump through decades going back all the way to 1944, where on February 18th, 1944, we saw the release of Action Comics number 71. The Superman story in this was Valentine Villainy, obviously releasing around the time of Valentine's Day. Lois doesn't look, if that is Lois, doesn't look very comfortable at all in that flying dress. Poor thing.
No, she does not.
Then we jump to 1954. In this week in 1954, February 19th, on this very day in 1954, we saw the release of Superboy number 32. There were 3 stories in this comic book: The Silent Doom, When Superboy Couldn't Fly, and His Majesty King Superboy, which is the cover art there.
That doesn't look like Pa Kent.
Yeah, whoever thought our boy Clark would someday be a king. And not the
first, he was not bald.
No, very balding there in that one, but it could be like an alternate reality or something. But
of course.
But not the first time that Superboy or Superman would be placed in a position of being ruler. So interesting one there. So that's 1954. Also that same week in 1954, as of February 24th, 1954, we saw the release of Adventure Comics 199. And the Superboy story in this one was Superboy meets Super Lad.
Another Superboy. He looks like me, talks like me, acts like me. Jeez. I wonder who could it be?
Wonder who it could be. So that was 1954. Yeah. Then we jump ahead to 1964, where on February 20th, 1964, we saw the release of Superboy 112. Very Superboy heavy issue this week. We've got the 3 stories: the boy who replaced Clark Kent, the kids who stole Superboy's powers, and I'm sure Michael would love this one: Super Babies, Super Pranks.
I'm with Michael.
Super Baby concept.
Never loved Super Baby.
No. So Super Pranks by Super Baby. So that was in 1964. Then we jump ahead to 1974, where we saw on February 19th, again this very day in 1974, World's Finest Comics number 223 was released, and the Superman Batman stories, there were 3 of them. Wipe the Blood Off My Name, the reversed Heroes, and the last one was the Composite Superman. So some interesting stories there from 1974. There were obviously Dead Man and Aquaman and Robot Man stories also included in this issue. Then we jump forward to 1984, where on February 23rd we saw the release of Action Comics 555, and the title of this story was Reunion, and this was written by Paul Kupperberg with art by Kurt Swan and inks by David Hunt, and the headband Supergirl there on the cover.
Yes, and I had this issue. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Very nice. Obviously, the Parasite there featured heavily as well. So that was February 1984. Also, that same week, February 1984, saw the release of New Adventures of Superboy number 53, and this was written by Paul Kupperberg as well, but art by Kurt Schaffenberger and inker Joe Giella. Great crypto.
It's funny because I don't know why I wasn't reading that book at the time. Because I was just as I was starting to get into reading the comics.
Then also in 1984, a big week, February 23rd, 1984, saw the release of World's Finest Comics 303, and this story was Plague, with featuring Batman in some kind of tech suit there, and this was written by David Anthony Kraft with art by Mike Chen and Pablo Marcos.
I had that one too, and I cannot remember anything about that story.
There you go. Superman looks like he's caught in quicksand of some kind.
Yeah.
It is green, so it could be kryptonite. Well, it's the Plague. But anyway, that was World's Finest back in 1984. Then jump ahead to 1994. February 22nd saw the release of Adventures of Superman 511, Collision Course, The Guardians of Metropolis there on the cover. Carl Kiesel, the writer, Barry Kitson and James Dean Pascoe were the artists on this one.
A good time for Superman.
Indeed. And then also in 1994, that same week, saw Steel number 3 come out. Bad Company. This was plotted by John Bogdanov, written by Louise Simonson, and Chris Batista and Rich Faber, the artists on that one. Wasn't really into Steel back then, but have since come to appreciate the character a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading the series for a little while. But I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I love the character, but I just didn't get into the book.
Fair enough. Then jumping ahead to 2004. Remember this quite well. Adventures of Superman 625 was released on February 18th, 2004. And the story inside was Unravel. And then I think there was a backup story with a Metropolis SCU ode to Patsy Cline. So yeah, this was a very interesting costume with some great artwork.
Oh yeah.
Also in 2004, that very same week, we saw the release of Superman Batman number 6, with Jeff Loeb writing this one. Obviously Ed McGuinness, the artist, with Dexter Vines as the inker, and this has been reprinted many times over the years in different trade paperbacks. But The Final Countdown was the title of this story, with Lex in his green and purple battle suit on the cover.
Yep, that was a great book. That was a really great book.
Yeah, it was. So that was also 2004. We saw the release of Superman Secret Identity number 2, released February 18th, and this was the Metropolis chapter of this book, written by Kurt Busiek, with art by Stuart Amonen, and it became kind of like an instant classic, this.
You know what? I got to confess, I haven't read it.
Okay. And again, this has been reprinted many times over the years since 2004. Also in then we jump ahead to 2014, where we saw Justice League number 28 and the Metal Men on the cover there. This was written by Jeff Johns. Forever Worthy is the story there. And then also that same week, February 19th, 2014, saw the Scribblenauts Unmasked, A Crisis of Imagination number 2, a bit of a crossover there. Never read it, but interesting artwork on the cover. And also that same week, February 19th, 2014, saw the release of Supergirl number 28, Rage Quit. Supergirl always seemed very angry, but especially whenever the Red Lantern rings were involved. Obviously, that's about rage. The New 52 Supergirl was very angry all the time.
Yes, she was.
Always very angry. All right, then we jump into the real world and look at some of the things that happen this date, this week in the real world. February 27th, Adam Baldwin, the voice of Superman in Superman Doomsday, the animated movie, was born in Chicago, Illinois in 1962. Also this week, traditionally recognized, February 27th is traditionally recognized as the birthday of Lori Lamaris, the mermaid of Atlantis, which might give you a hint for this week's fan favorite question if you're struggling on thinking of love interests for Superman. It's Laurie's birthday this week. Also, February 28th is the birthday of Sidney J. Furie, who directed Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. He was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada in 1933. Still going on, kicking on. This week, February 29th, we do get one. It's not only Michael Bailey's actual birthday. Happy birthday, Michael Bailey, if you're out there listening in the world. We wish you all the best for your actual birthday on February 29th. But Michael shares his birthday with the Man of Steel himself. Yes, Superman is traditionally recognized as having and celebrating his birthday on February 29th, which, with only having a birthday every 4 years, shows why he doesn't age. It just seems always younger. So happy birthday to the Man of Steel. March 1st, a number of birthdays on March 1st. Director Zack Snyder was born in Green Bay, Wisconsin in 1966. Also on March 1st, Jensen Ackles, who played Jason Teague in Smallville, the TV series, obviously best known for his portrayal as Dean Winchester in Supernatural. He was born in Dallas, Texas in 1978. And then also on March 1st, Tim Daly, who's best known for voicing Superman in many different things, but Superman the Animated Series. He was born in New York, New York in 1956. And lastly, on March 3rd, Indy Navarrete, who plays Sarah Cushing on the TV series Superman and Lois. She was born in Tucson, Arizona in 2001. So happy birthday to all those people, and congratulations to all those birthdays taking place this week. That is this week in history.
Yes.
Got through it.
Very good.
So, all right. I think I've covered everything. We've done fan favorite. We've done the super secret soundbite, this week in history. So let's push on to the comic book side of things, where this past week, or just last week, it was announced that DC and Marvel are reprinting the DC versus Marvel and DC Marvel amalgam age omnibuses collections as omnibuses. They will be coming out August 6th. So DC versus Marvel Omnibus and DC Marvel The Amalgam Age Omnibus coming out what did I say? August 6th. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Did you ever read these?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. The question was whether I want to get them physically or digitally, because I think they're available digitally. If they are, I definitely probably get digital because that's how I read the comics now.
Yes.
But I'm really looking forward to this, especially I won't say especially the Malcolm. I really want to read all the Superman versus and all that kind of stuff. But I love the Amalgam. I had a good time reading those.
Yeah, it was a really interesting time to be a fan of either company, to see these characters come together, to vote on who should win in particular fights. Obviously, Superman beat the Hulk, which was an interesting one. And then you got the Amalgam stuff where they joined characters. Super Soldier was the amalgamation of Superman and Captain America, and the stories that came out of that were all very interesting. So, yeah, it was an interesting time to be a fan back in the late 90s. So, if you missed out on this era and you want to check it out, you'll be able to, because they've been highly sought after, and have not been reprinted since. But we will be getting them in August, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be great.
But as for what's available this week, this is what you can look forward to if you're a fan of the comic books. We have... I should turn off the Amalgam stuff, the DC stuff in the background. Superman number... firstly, yes. Is this what we're looking for? Yes, we've got the comic books coming out this week. We have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 24. That first one there is Superman number 11. That is out this week in a number of variant covers. So Superman number 11 comes in a multitude of variant covers. Then we have Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, number 5, which is out this week, and that is also available in a couple of different variant covers. Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 24 is also out this week, and that's available in a couple of different variant covers as well. Then we've got some hardcover collections. We've got Dark Knight's Death Metal Omnibus. We have Kingdom, the 25th Anniversary Deluxe Edition hardcover. And we also have Night Terror's Nightmare League hardcover coming out this week. So if you're a fan of the comic books, that's what you have to look forward to. DC also released their May Solicitations this week. And there are a couple of interesting books that you can check out when they're at our website if you want to give those a look. But that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Superman Homepage Live. Thank you for spending the past hour with us, all our live viewers, I should say. Thank you to Dave, Nostalgic Podblast, Mind the Gap, Justin, John Patrick Van Pelt, My Flock. Who else have we got in there? So many others who have joined us for this past hour. We really appreciate your company. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to you, my co-host, Mark Lax. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
And don't forget, we won't be back for the next 2 weeks. Our next show will be March 11th, Monday, March 11th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. We hope you'll join us then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Mark Lax. Thanks for watching Superman, or thanks for listening as well to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, Tina Murray, and C. Ralph Adler. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it so much. We'll be back March 11th. Until then, good night.